To load tools and the spindle on this machine, one of the things we have to make sure, the spindle type on this requires a BT40 holder. So thing to remember on the BT40s, it has the big top. It's not like the CB40s where the thickness of both grooves or both flanges above the groove are the same. The BT40, the groove or the flange that's closest to the spindle is going to be thicker than the bottom flange. So we make sure we have the right holder. And one of the things that you do have to get the alignment, the precautions that we're doing here in our classes, is we want to set our rapid override to 25%. When I press the 25% rapid override on these buttons down here, I've noticed a change on the CRT, and 25% is right here for my rapid override. I've got 100% spindle, 100% feed, and 25% rapid. Now, the reason I want to do that is because until we go through and prove out a program and are ready to actually run in full production, I want to have a little more control over what's happening with the machine tool. We're going to install this tool. It'll be in pocket 1. So to install tools and get them into the tool carousel, basically I make sure this is clean. I reach into my machine unit. I push the tool release button, install the tool in the holder, making sure the keys line up. And once the keys are lined up and it's in there, then take your finger off the tool release button. One caution on that, be very careful that you do not get your finger or any part of your finger between the flange and the face of the spindle, because if you do, as soon as you take your finger off the tool release button and the drawbar pulls that tool up in there, it's going to have a sufficient force that it could crush your finger or remove it. So please do not do that. Make sure your fingers are clear when you're installing the tool. Now, to touch off and qualify this tool, my next step is to go to the hand jog mode. This button right here, I'm going to set it so that my hand jog values are at 10 thousandths per revolution. For safety purposes in the training environment, we have closed out the 100 thousandths per click that you would get if this was active. In industry, you need to be aware of the fact that sometimes this 100 thousandths is going to be active, so that each indicated click of the button on this hand wheel is going to represent 100 thousandths of movement if this is active. We've got it so we can move in 10 thousandths, 1 thousandth, and 1/10 increments where it's 1/10 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and move my Z-axis slide down. Now I'm going to select my jog. I'm going to move my X-axis. And what I'm doing is I'm positioning my tool so it's over the workpiece. And we'll do a Y negative. And now go back to my Z and begin bringing my Z down to the top of the workpiece. I need to make sure I'm not over some kind of a feature like a slot or something like that, so I've got to move X just a little bit. Using an expensive fancy feeler gauge like a piece of paper, which is about 3 thousandths thick, I'm going to go ahead and jog my spindle down. Now I'm going to change my jog increment to 1 thousandth so that it comes down a little slower, so I can jog it right down to the machine. Now I've got just a little bit of resistance between the tip of the tool and the machine, so I'm just about right where I want to be. At this point, I select on my CRT the offset button. You'll notice that it's highlighted on the work position what I want to do is I want to go up and check changes. So I press the offset mode again, and it toggles me to the offset page for tool data. I use my cursor key to move over to geometry. This is for my tool offset, H, length, geometry. If I need to adjust that, I can adjust the tool up or down into the part in very small increments using the wear offset. And to get the value for the tool length, I go to my keypad, and there's a key mark right here on the left hand side, third row down, tool offset measure. If I press this button, it automatically calculates and enters the length value that's necessary for the tool offset on that particular tool. When you're doing this qualification, always make sure that you're on the spindle tool. The machine, once it has loaded a tool, knows which tool is in the spindle, and that's the one you always want to work with. So that's basically what's involved in touching off and qualifying for the tool length offsets.